Well, hello and welcome. Got my Canson Montville pad out because we need to do some swatching. So I got all this paint. Some of it is new, not some of it is not as new. And it's not even all here because there's a pan that I already put in here and some other pans in here. So those were new, and that one was new, and I got the tube for that one in here. That's the Smalt Blue from Winsor&Newton and the Aqua Green from the same. That was from my last haul. Need to swatch those, and we need to swatch the Volcano Yellow and Red, and I already tested them out, so the yellow is dirty. Here's the random gray. And here are the Shire colors. I added some pans with my haze colors that is not quite as new. That was from the previous haul, but I'm trying to build a palette here. Um, so we need to swatch all of that as well. Then I got this a little while ago, and I got this one in my last haul. Oh my god, so much paint. The top row here is the Golden Flat pop set that I bought a while back, and even though it's a good set, there was some things I was missing a little bit. So in my last haul, if you saw that, I added 6 more colors. I got a permanent yellow that is a little warmer and darker than the one that came in the pop set. Napels Yellow Deep. And then I was testing out the reds in this series. There's like 4 reds or reddish colors. There's Phthaloblue Red Light, which came in the pop set. Nice color. Then there's Pyrrole Red and Cadmium Red Dark. And I do know that cadmium is a warm color. It is just sometimes the ones that are called dark can lean a little bit towards either primary or even be a little cold. We gotta test that out. Pyrrole Red is normally a warm red. The Naphthol Red is also warmish, but not quite as warm as the others. There's one color you can get that is called Naphthol Pink or something, but that is this color mixed in with some white, so I didn't find it necessary to buy that one. Then my go-to blue is almost always Phthaloblue Green shade. I love that as a mixing color, so I had to have that. There's nothing wrong with ultramarine blue, it is just a warm color, and I wanted a cooler blue. Raw Umber, a color that lots of people hate, but it's a fantastic mixing color. So I've got that one as well. We gotta test all of that out. And for that we need at least the white and the ultramarine might. So this is gonna be an absolutely huge swatching session. And I think I will start with the watercolors. And we got water. It's not super clean, but it's not too dirty either. Okay, so this that's the wrong kind of brush. This set is had an empty palette lying around and some empty pans that I have been filling in the colors from the super granulation and the random gray. So this is the Volcano Red from the super granulation series, and it's a cadmium red. I'll not say it's a cadmium red deep, so it's kind of dark and it granulates a lot. I was trying to paint with it, and it feels like a very heavy paint. It just like sits where you put it. You need to help it around if you want it somewhere, and it's granulating a lot. Yeah, I'm trying to clean up my yellow hair a little bit so we can see the yellow and not the I'd say the yellow mixes nice greens. I can show you what I'm cleaning off here. This kind of green. Oh, this insert is crooked. It makes noises. Of the two, I like the yellow the best. I can get some clean stuff over here. It's also granulating. It's not quite as difficult to work with as the red. The red, I think, is a little on the too heavy side of things. Now the yellow is not, on its own, it's not very strong colored. It doesn't show up very well on the paper, but it worked quite well in mixes. And the entire set of this Shire set has that yellow in it as pigment. So that's kind of the combining color in all of these. So the first one, oh, I need to look at the side of the box to tell you. The first one is Shire Yellow. I'm quite sure many of you have seen these swatched out other places. And it's kind of a gray yellow. It's not a very clear yellow. It's grayish green. And it separates out, and you see when it dries, you can see the yellow separating out. So the next one is Shire Olive. I think maybe I need to add some water to these to get them to re-wet a bit. They seem a little dry. I was gonna swatch these the day I got them, but things happened, like unexpected guests and things like that, so I haven't really had time to make a proper video. I was trying to film in between everything, and that is never a good idea. So this is the olive color, if it wants to come out the pan. I don't know why they call it olive. I'd call that olive sooner than this one. This is a muted light green. And yeah, I'd say when I look at it in the pan, we could maybe call it olive down there, but it doesn't paint out as an olive color. But it's a nice set of greens, essentially. So this one is Shire Green. It's kind of a mid-tone green. Apple green, we could call it. And they all separate out and show that yellow that is underneath in the mixture. And Shire Blue is like a very dark green, really. Again, that yellow pokes out underneath when it separates. And the last one, Shire Grey. A bluish grey. I'm actually not entirely sure that has yellow in it. Where are the pigment info? It's there and it's upside down. PY, yes, there's some yellow in there. And PG26, I believe that's a cobalt green. But it is a gray, most definitely a gray. And a nice one. So I'll skip all the haze colors because I already got a video about those. And here is the random gray 2022. And considering how many granulating colors they did last year, I kind of expected this to be granulating because apparently this is a mixture of their pigment leftovers that they mix into a random gray once a year. This is not super dark. It is truly a gray, and it does granulate quite a lot. There is no pigment info on the tube because yeah, it is whatever went down the drain or wherever they pick it up from. It is here and it's a limited edition. But yeah, the fact that they have been producing a lot of super granulating colors shows in this. So there's no light fastness info on the tube at all. Of course, no pigment info either. It says be careful that it can be it contains biocides and you can get an allergic reaction from it. It says it's granulating. I don't know if you can see that, and it's semi-opaque. And yeah, it is, and it splits out into at least two colors. Seems like there's some kind of a brown in here and a lot of blue. I think there's lots of cobalt blue in this, to be honest. Maybe also, what you call it? You call it ultramarine blue. There's some granulating blues in here and a grayish brown underneath. Can only assume and guess. See, if I move the brown out of the way, the blue is kind of underneath. It fits in with my palette. I've been painting with it and it was it worked quite well with the super granulating colors. So that was all of the Schmincke colors for now. This paper doesn't let them dry very quickly, so you will see the granulation and the separation very well once they're dry. So that was those. Then I bought a tube and a half pan of Winsor&Newton paints. I got two colors that I cannot buy in Denmark. I think I found maybe the Smalt Blue somewhere, but doesn't really matter. This one, which is the one I like the best, the Aqua Green, I can't get it other than in Germany or other places. So this is the Smalt Blue, and I need to find the little sticker to tell you the pigment name. I believe it's a violet pigment. I think I read it totally wrong on my haul video. Let me grab it. It's this one, and it says permanent pigment PV15. On Smalt Blue was a pigment that is no longer in existence. I forgot why, but it is no longer available. But this should be the same color, and it's a very warm blue, and you can tell by the name PV that it is named violet. It's granulating. It granulates quite a lot. I'll show you together with ultramarine blue, I believe. I think. Yes, it is ultramarine. And I got a real cerulean blue in here as well. These are all the professional, or some of the professional Winsor&Newton paints, the artist line. So it granulates as much as the cobalt color and the ultramarine. Now the aqua green is, there's no specific pigment information about this on the tube other than phthalo. So it's some phthalo, some either a mixture or a new phthalo pigment that haven't been numbered or named yet. But it's an absolutely stunning color. I really like this. This is like a sea green color, turquoisey, and it's so that is super nice. I have been mixing different things with this color, and it's really interesting. I got a potter's pink in here that was actually a something I bought. I had seen the color, but I hadn't noticed how much it granulated, and I haven't used it all that much because of the granulation. I didn't want to deal with it, but look, we will have to wait for this to dry up. It dries up in a very interesting way, or it did on some other paper at least. I hope it will do it again. So these two colors give you a gray, but because one is not separating and the other is one is not granulating and the other one really is, they separate in an interesting way as they dry. You can maybe have a look at the other colors here as they how they granulate as they dry. You can really tell. This paper buggles because it's only 200 DSM, but it is fine for swatching. So I'm not sure what to think of the Smalt Blue, how much I can use it, because I in general has mostly non-granulating paints on this palette. But yeah, I'll give it a shot. I like the color. I really like the color. And there are ways to not get rid of the granulation, but have it show less. Now this is a cold press paper, and it shows the granulation quite a lot actually, also because it has lots of sizing on the top. So, but a drier, more absorbent paper, maybe a cold press, can minimize the effect of the granulation if that is something that is not in your painting plans. So I need to test it out more. The color is nice, and if you like granulation, that's the color. I am way more into flat colors. You can maybe see that potter's pink and the aqua green separating in there. So that was swatching the watercolor paints, and I can show you the two paintings I have done. This one was done with my Winsor&Newton paints, and the sky is the Smalt Blue and the other half is the aqua green, and a mixture of different things to make the greens and the blacks. And I really had a good time painting that. That was so nice and so easy. And I need to grab the other one. Hang on. So these are all the colors that is in that Schmincke granulating set. And I used those for this landscape. and I used the Volcano Red here to try and make clouds, and it was a little bit of a struggle to get it to look soft because those pigment just wanted to kind of go on there and lie there in blotches. But with a little bit of help and a little bit of re-wetting, I managed. And everything else went on super nice, and I feel that that is a nice and quite complete palette that I can use for at least landscapes. I I would probably wouldn't try realistic portraits with it because there's only really one red in there. But for landscapes, I'm quite happy with that set of colors. And I used also the random gray in this. Bum bum. I will leave this to dry for now and grab another sheet of paper because we got the acrylics to try. And there was a reason I have filmed me opening those, but it was a struggle and it was a long time with dirty fingers and stuff. 3 of them opened up easy because this cover came off nice and easy. The others was an awful nightmare. There's like a metallic film on top, and underneath is a very, very strong and flexible plastic film that, and I think they were supposed to come off together, but they didn't, and it was just a nightmare. It's really weird with those SoFlat. It's like they can't really make up their mind what type of sealing type they want under the lid. So that was also then pretty much the only negative I have to say. So let us grab, oops, that was my light palette knife, something to wipe it off with, and let's grab an acrylic brush of some description, that one. So, reds. Permanent Yellow, Umber, and Phthaloblue. It's a little bit of an odd selection, but it could be pretty much a palette on its own. So let's have a go and look at them. The yellow is quite runny. So permanent yellow. Not so much to say. It's maybe not a color I would use much on its own. It's a very generic yellow. It's mixed from PY74 and PY53. It's a warmish mid-tone yellow, and it's fine. It will undoubtedly do what I need it to do. So I saw somebody use the Napels Yellow Deep from SoFlat, and it's terrible to watch other people paint because it creates need you didn't know you had. And I generally like Naples Yellow, so why not? I'll try and wipe off here. the reason why I like Naples yellows is because they they are kind of like yellow ochre, but brighter. And this one is a mixture of nothing. It is the pigment PBR24. This is the real um, Naples yellow. I thought I had read that it was a mixture, but I'm happy it is the real pigment. I don't know why so many others use mixtures instead of this pigment, because it's not even because it's a super expensive pigment. I didn't pay super much for that. So we got wet paint on my paper. Naphthol red light, that was, no, not that one. Pyrrole red. Very post mailbox red color. I actually like Pyrrole reds, also in watercolor. And see how easy they dry fairly quick. So if you want to mix something, you have to be quick. Pyrrole red kind of dominates yellow a lot. So if you want to make an orange, you have to have a lot of yellow and a little bit of the Pyrrole red. Cadmium Red Dark. I can't believe I bought this. I've never bought a cadmium color on my own in acrylics. I'm not entirely convinced that it is something I'll do again. So this is a dark cadmium, and on its own it looks kind of warm, but it's not. It's a cadmium. That was a red. And so there's the Phthaloblue Green shade. And I gave up getting all the sealing film off because it was just impossible. So here is the blue, and yes, it's a Phthaloblue Green shade, and they pretty much all look the same to some degree. But it's a fantastic mixing color. If you got the right type of red, you can make bright violets with it, and it makes greens with anything that has a little bit of yellow in it. Now, raw umber, the color some people hate or love to hate. I love to love it. It's yeah, I know it does look kind of like fecal matter on its own, and I never use it on its own. So now we got all of those out, and we need some white on the palette as well. Need probably quite a lot. I'm a mess with paint. I wish it would come in tubes, to be honest. So, yeah, let's try and mix some white with the raw umber. It's just a brown. It's a cold brown. And mixed with white, it goes into a kind of a a cold gray, brownish gray, cold brown gray. And I'll put the palette knife away now. I'm done dipping into paints. So let us try and do some mixtures here. There's some wet paint still. You can see it's like that. So let's take some of this cadmium red and mix it with the blue. And it absolutely does not turn any kind of good violet. It turns gray brown. You can get it to look a little violety if you put enough of the red in there, but it's definitely going gray. And yes, we can argue that this is a cold blue that we use, but I'll actually grab something. Be right back. I got my quinacridone magenta high flow, and I'll prove to you that Phthaloblue can make pretty violets. You can mix all of the acrylic paints you got with each other. If they have different sheen when they dry, you will end up with something in between. So if I use too much of this quinacridone with this matte SoFlat matte, oh, that was not enough. It will lose its madness to some degree because the high flow is a little bit shiny. But yeah, look, pretty enough violets and nothing near what we got with the cadmium deep red. So that is the problem with the SoFlat line at the moment. It doesn't have a quinacridone magenta. It goes from naphthol pink to red violet. It is kind of a color like that. That's a gap in there. And that is my complaint about this, and that's the only complaint I got. So let's talk about burnt umber. Yeah, brown on its own. Let's add a little bit of the blue, and then depending on the mixture, we can get like what some call a faux green. See, it's like a dark tealish green, and it's gorgeous. It depends a little bit on the turquoise. Mix it with turquoise and you get the most interesting greens. Now this is the closest thing to a turquoise I got. And it's like corroded copper or something. You can get that color. And it's a very easy to make, a very dark, very muted green. You can also mix it with other colors. So we say, okay, we got that. Well, it's a little dirty, but who cares? And we mix it with some yellow, and we get again like a dark olive green. That will actually match very well with that one. So if you got a raw umber and some other colors, you can mix a lot of earthy tones very easily. Let's try it with a red. Now this is the Pyrrole Red and a little bit of umber, and you get. Let's take some more of that umber, and you get a reddish brown, and you can add some of the Napels yellow and get it more golden brown. Oh, I'm dipping my arm in there. So yeah, so you can adjust it to all kinds of different shades of brown, and that's the beauty of it. I love mixing colors that is flexible like that. That really just works with so many other colors. So, um, and you can also use it to darken up greens and stuff. Now we were in the search of purples, so we need the Pyrrole Red again with a little bit of that on some of this. And again, we that is not a adequately cold red. You get again another type of gray mixed with the phthalo blue. And I tried it with the ultramarine too. That is a little bit more violet, but not by a lot. And that's okay. I can't afford any more paint for the time being, so this will have to do. Um, I don't use bright purples much anyway, so I'll be absolutely fine with these colors. Um, we can grab this thing here and say we can try the Naphtol red light with the blue as well. Just put it on straight there. It is so full of pigment, this paint. It is actually a little difficult to get everything out of my brush because it's just, as soon as you touch it with the brush is just packed with pigment. So, some blue on this. Need some white in there to tell. See, that's a slightly better violet, but it's not bright. But it will do for what I need violets for. So, yeah, so they have this the one you get in the pop set, the Naphtol Red Light, is the closest thing to a cold red they got. Um, this will do just fine for me until I figure out what to do about. I'd say for if I really need a bright purple, I'll just use my magenta from High Flow. I also got some of their heavy body paints. I can maybe use a little bit of that to adjust it as well. Yeah, let's talk about the what's it called? This one, the Napels Yellow. I like it as to use it the same way as I would use a yellow ochre, and it's interesting to have it in a brighter version because it gives you brighter colors. Now look at that green. Because if I need to mute things down, I can do that. I can add a little bit of something violetly or something like that. I can mix that down to something else. There was some brown there. I really like it as it is. So let's try and now all these reds, I showed you what they can't do. So let's try and do what they can do. Lots of yellow-ish, the dirty brush. That's probably too much red. Oh, there's so much green in my brush. Need to try and get it out. I might have to grab another one. But yeah, they do mix quite nice oranges. But remember, a little bit of yellow and no, a lot of yellow and a little bit of the red. Now that orange is a bit muted because of all the gunk in my brush. I'll let my brush soak a little bit and grab another one. Fortunately, I got quite a few. So this deep cadmium red. It's a little bit of a funny color because it is a warm red, but it gives kind of earthy oranges. And this brush is not dirty. It is a little browny in itself. Let's add some white to. And I think that is why cadmium red is often used in portraits because it very easily mixes something that looks a little bit brown. Let's add a little bit of the blue. Let's see if we can mix something. I don't know if you can call this a skin color. I guess it could be with people with kind of an olivey, darker skin tone. Can definitely be used for certain animals. I don't use cadmium reds much, and definitely not the dark one because I've never really figured out what to do with it. But I got a whole pot to experiment with, and I got a pan of Schmincke. But is that a dark? I don't think it is. Anyways, they mix so well, and they are so matte when they dry these pens. It's gorgeous. I'm really looking forward to painting some more with them other than just sitting and playing and swatching. Definitely want to paint a landscape with all of these colors. See, I can just keep on adding water to my brush and there's still pigment in there. It's crazy. So that's what you get when you buy paints from Golden. It is it's pigment and not a whole lot else. There's only just as much medium in there as they need to make the paint work. It is I really like their products. It's the more I use Golden products, the more I respect that company for their serious production of paint. They are up there with the best, that is for sure. And yeah, I haven't been talking quite long enough. There's still wet spots in this, but you can maybe get the general idea of how they look. So that one and that one was the new one, Smalt Blue and Aqua Green. Volcano Red, Volcano Yellow, Shire Yellow, Shire Olive, Shire Green, Shire Black. No? Blue, Shire Blue and Shire Grey and random Schmincke's random grey. That was the watercolors, and I quite like them all. And yeah, SoFlat from Golden. They don't want to call them gouache. That's fair. It is an acrylic paint, and it has some self-leveling effect. It doesn't show much on paper. I think I can see some ridges somewhere, but not a lot. It does dry quite flat. And it is super nice to paint with. Absolutely. Um, yeah, I got that encasting set sitting that I need to test. I know that. But I need to figure out how to heat proof my desk because I got this plastic mat here, and underneath that is actually an antique desk that I don't want to burn. It's not that the temperature will be super high, it should be is under 100 C Celsius. Um, but still, I don't know if I keep on warming things up on the same spot, if it might leave a mark on the varnish of the table. So that is a little bit up in the air still. I will figure it out somehow, sometime. But yeah, you have to wait a little bit. I might go in our garage there. I have some tables and stuff that I don't care about. They can get scorch marks and things as bad as I can make them without me getting sad about that. But my granddad's desk, I don't mind if it gets a little paint now and then. I can sand that down and varnish it. But if I burn marks in it, that's a different story. Uh, yeah, I think that's all for today. I I enjoy the paints, and I hope I can find time to do a lot of painting videos next. Because there won't be another haul video for a good long while. I need to use up some of all this stuff. So thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, and come back.